What's good, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new reaction. This time we are doing Godzilla Mendoza's new video that he just dropped like yesterday, last night, the Real World of Marvel Anime. Now, like I've mentioned before, you guys know I don't typically do just regular YouTube videos for reactions. I just do trailers and stuff. I only do regular videos under very specific circumstances. Well, I like anime. I like Marvel. I like Xavier's videos. So fuck it. That is why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, Xavier mentioned on his Twitter that he's actually had some problems with his video because, of course, Japan are assholes. Constantly dealt with a bunch of copyright issues, copyright claims on this video, which, welcome, Xavier. Join the club. You now know how us anti-tubers feel. Because, yeah. I got my problems with Japan as well. You guys know I mentioned before. I got worried about Toho claiming my Hiroaka reactions and blocking them worldwide like days, weeks to like months after the video was really posted and went through the bots. So yeah, it gets kind of annoying, but yeah. Anyway, let's just jump right and see what Xavier got to say. I'm pretty sure I know all the animes that you mentioned, but I haven't seen any of them.
I think people often overlook the overlap between Japanese shonen manga and Western superhero comics. Granted, the art styles are different, usually, and both have their unique tropes, but we can agree that it's fun to read stories about eccentric characters with tragic backstories running around in colorful outfits and fighting each other with superpowers.
Where are the Hiroaka clips, bro?
Both of these translate pretty well to animation. And today we're going to look at all of Japan.
Come on, bro. Show some love for Hiroaka, bro. Horikoshi's a huge Marvel fan. Come on, bro. He loves the X-Men.
The wonderfully weird world of Marvel anime. And here to help me, since I'm not a huge anime guy, one of the most prominent and well-known anime YouTubers out there. Come on down, Mike.
Literally, my ocular globes have never made contact with a Japanese person.
Oh, he's just being humble. This guy is the ultimate weeb. Lives and breathes the land of the rising sun. He uses chopsticks to pick his nose. I'm talking the biggest Naruto fan I've met in my life.
Rangiku had some huge boobs.
Hell yeah, bro. Rangiku. I mean, Orihime's best girl, but you know, I like Rangiku too. The Bleach anime is a so hey, all good. Love the Bleach run.
Massive Dahuka.
That sounded way more sexual than I thought.
Big old Tanahanga Baranka Gira.
I don't know who that is, but this is anime we're talking about, so it's probably right. Wolverine! Wolverine's first solo comic featured him going on an adventure to Japan to chase after his long-lost love, Maruka Yashida, after he finds out she's been forced into an arranged marriage by her abusive crime boss father, Lord Shingen. Along the way, Wolverine meets a badass assassin femme fatale named Yukio who wants to help him take down Shingen for her own personal reasons. And they have a complicated relationship. The story ends with Wolverine stabbing Shingen in the throat and Mariko agreeing to marry him after Yukio kills the criminal scumbag she was stuck with. Naturally, all of this would fall apart into complete chaos shortly after in the mainline X-Men books because Marvel characters are generally not allowed to get married. It was a really cool first arc for the old Knucklehead that established a few nice side characters
Paul. All my homies hate Paul.
Stories. So for translating Wolverine into anime, this 4-issue arc felt like a perfect choice since it already took place in Japan, featured a lot of Japanese-speaking characters, and is one of Wolverine's most famous storylines in the comics. The anime retells the story pretty faithfully for the first few episodes, with some minor changes. For one, instead of Mariko being married already by the time Wolverine gets to the land of the rising sun, in the series she's only engaged with the marriage happening soon. This creates a nice ticking clock element to make things a little more exciting, and give Logan some motivation to keep the action going so he can.
What studio did these? I'm pretty sure Madhouse did these,
just like
if I remember correctly.
Getting really depressed and doing drunken bar fights like in the book. Also, for some reason, a lot of the characters' names are changed slightly. Like Mariko's asshole criminal husband in the book is named Noburo Hideki, but in the show it's Hideki Kurohagi. Or Wolverine's secret agent friend from Japan, Asano Kimura, was changed to Teshin Asano. Other than that, they have pretty much the same personality and are drawn to look the same, so we'll just call these characters by the common name between both versions for simplicity's sake. And because I'm already getting confused by all these names I can barely pronounce because I'm not that flavor of Asian. Filipino represent! Quite a few parts of
oh yeah, right, because of Anna, right. His wife's Filipino, right? I just remembered that.
Ripped right from the comic, like Wolverine and Shingen's duel with the wooden swords where Shingen wins by cheating and being a dick, or Wolverine finding that Asano has been killed in his office. This version of the story also tries to add more greater Marvel Universe references, so Hideki is in charge of the island of Madripoor, and also gets funding for his criminal enterprises from AIM. Plus, Cyclops shows up midway through the series to help transport Wolverine and Yukio from Japan to Madripoor, since an island full of criminals and mercenaries would be a cool place for the third act.
I know you can handle yourself. This guy's got some heavy backing. You know what? Just stick to flying the plane.
Naturally, Wolverine is a dick to Cyclops the entire time for no reason.
Their voices sound
I
familiar.
think
What
it's
is
just
their voice?
sexual tension. Now, I'd say the biggest point of divergence in this show's telling of the events is with the ending and how they handle the character of Yukio. In the book, her loyalties are very complicated. She's an assassin working for Shingen to gain Wolverine's trust, but also she hates Shingen, and she instantly falls in love with Wolverine the second she sees him and is super horny for him. So she wants to help him for real, but is working for his enemy and pretending to want to help him even though she does. It's a mess. Eventually, Shingen gets wind of her feelings for Logan and orders her to kill Asano to protect herself. This drives a permanent wedge between her and Logan, but is also the final straw that forces her to give up working for Shingen forever and turn on him. All this weird love triangle stuff is a little forced in my opinion, and her killing Asano becomes sort of a lasting stain on that character that makes it so you can never truly be on her side again. Same with Wolverine never being able to fully trust her again, even when she does help him out. The anime simplifies all of this by just saying she's with Logan 100% from the start, she wants revenge on Shingen for killing her mother instead, and she's not the one who kills Asano. It's all more basic and tropey, but it's easier to wrap your head around, and you don't have to deal with the character trying and failing to walk back such a horrific betrayal. Plus, she no longer begs Wolverine for sex, which was kind of strange. Also, instead of throwing little knives at people, she carries around a circular blade that seems like it would be really easy to cut yourself on when you're holding it. These changes to her have a ripple effect that alters the trajectory of the story. Now Asano's killer is an original character made for the anime, Kikyo, who has a really not that interesting rivalry with Wolverine that the show devotes a lot of time to, even though this character sucks.
Hold on. We never found out which of us is the best.
You sure?
Indeed.
His entire sword
voiced by,
can
like,
suck
Grimjaw?
into his
Not
hand
Grimjaw,
and go
by,
up into his arms somehow. Why does this keep
Orochimaru or
happening?
something?
Hey, so let me get this straight.
You mean to tell me you brought Blum in the booth for multiple shows and you didn't have him kill two birds with one stone? You stupid idiots! Why?
Thanks, Baji. He said that because I'm eating a wonton. You just had him voice this forgettable chump?
5 against 1? Let's say we even out the odds. Asano, what's up, bud? Say the word and I'll put him down for you.
Is that Troy
These
Baker?
guys are a bunch of pansies anyhow.
Wolverine is instead voiced by Peter Petrelli from Heroes. Remember that show? That overpowered son of a bitch. Ooh, I just need to be within like a square mile of someone with superpowers and I could permanently copy their powers. They had to like nerf him in season 3 when his dad showed up, who had like the same powers kinda.
That was a pretty good
His
show. I
brother,
remember
like,
watching that
Nathan
back in the
Petrelli, could
day.
just fly. Oh, remember
I
they
have no
also did that
recollection of the
arc
show.
where
I never watched a single
like,
freaking episode.
Sylar killed
of it, so I
Nathan, and
used
then
this
they like
portion to slip into
put
more of the
Nathan's
Kristen Dunst
brain in Sylar and had
turning
his,
Japanese footage because I don't know
shape-shifting
what
powers
the
make him,
Sean equals.
like think he was Nathan the whole time, but it was actually Sylar's body just pretending to be him.
What's
Remember?
turning Japanese?
No, because I'm not a millennial, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not totally loving this voice and design for Wolverine. Like, yeah, he looks close enough during random clips of fight scenes, but when things slow down for a moment and you really like look at him, this guy doesn't scream Wolverine to me. He's tall and thin, he's young and handsome looking, and his youthful voice doesn't have the same gravel or grit. This is very much a Japanese idea of a tough guy protagonist with like a Dante Leon kind of energy. Where he's a badass, but he's also kind of pretty and feminine too in a way. And he's got these
Hey, bro,
really
that's just
kissable
anime for you,
lips.
bro.
You know, he's got these long arms.
Okay, it looks like
he's
this
kinda
is like
wanting to
some
wrap around
music
you.
video she did.
Oh,
I
Jesus,
guess.
this Wolverine is unlocking some things. Most of the time in animated formats, Wolverine's claws are used more defensively to shy away from extreme gore in a show aimed at kids. So you'd think in a TVMA series like this, they'd take full advantage of the claws and the brutality of them for fight scenes, but it's kind of rare for him to use them lethally in this show. That's reserved for the nameless goons, but important characters seem to be stab-proof until they've been fighting for a good long while. And even then, they often shy away from showing the penetration. Look at this Cinemax late-night bullshit. And as of yet, the best animated Wolverine fight scenes remain in Hulk Versus. Look, he's stabbing, and there's blood. Look, he cut off that guy's fucking arm, and you can see the bone. Look, he's getting horribly injured and you could see it. The anime doesn't even take full advantage of showcasing his healing powers either, which seems like a wasted opportunity. He gets hurt a little. You see some minor bloody wounds or some burns. I want them to whittle him down with automatic gunfire to a screaming silver skeleton covered in tendons or something. We have the rating for it. Be creative, guys. I will say that other than not liking Wolverine's look himself, this show's art style is pretty over-rendered. These characters are so detailed in ways they almost don't really need to be, if that makes sense. The hair and skin and clothes on these characters are shaded so intensely. Everyone's outfits are more wrinkly than a John Romita Jr. drawing. Somehow Yukio's suit is shaded like it's really baggy and loose, but drawn as if it's skin tight. So it just kind of looks confusing to my stupid brain. And what the fuck is with Omega Red's whips? The shading on these is ridiculous. Like, yeah, that does look like reflective metal, but God, those poor animators. I guess I'm more used to animated stuff where the shading
Welcome to Madhouse, bro. This is back when they were at their peak.
Detail is nice, but too much.
Pretty sure it was
cluttered
Madhouse. Let me
with
check.
visuals. Anywho, most of the villains in this show are boring one-note OCs, but they did throw Omega Red in there to mix things up with an actual comic character. As the show goes on, it starts to drift further and further from the events of the book, and I admittedly find myself caring less and less. All this stuff in Madripoor is dull and slow, and I don't care about the subplot where we meet Yukio's revenge-hungry grandpa, I guess. Or like, I think they fight a giant statue guy. There's almost a few episodes in here you could skip without really losing anything important. But it all culminates in Wolverine barging into Hideki's heavily fortified skyscraper and doing a really tonally dissonant reference to The Graduate. Like, it's shot for shot here, and I can't tell if it's supposed to be funny or not. Hey, the way they fall off this balcony into a pool kind of looks familiar. Remember that? Instead of the botched wedding to Wolverine arc and the long war between her clan and the Hand and her brother Silver Samurai before she's poisoned by the leader of the Hand, the show just has Hideki shoot Mariko in an accident and she dies right there in the finale. Wolverine beats Shingen in a battle, and Yukio just walks out of frame because she was only there for revenge. And, like, the final shot of the show is Wolverine carrying Mariko's dead body as he screams into the sky. This ending sucks. Plus, there's this bizarre post-credit scene where Wolverine once again faces off with Kikyo, and it's supposed to be, like, hype, but I don't care about any of this. It's strange. The anime starts off really strong and then veers off the plot from the comic and then sputters out into this really underwhelming finale, where everything Wolverine fought for becomes pointless and it's just a bummer.
What am I fighting for?
He's held so many dead love interests in his arms, I've lost count.
Please, you know how many girlfriends have died in my arms.
Now, a word from our sponsor. Special thanks to today's sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can be an official lord or lady. What would you do with 1 square foot of land? Plant a tree on it! Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. Your square foot of land will be on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and you'll receive an official certificate with a crest. Your certificate features a unique plot number in which you can see the exact location of your land and tree. Established Titles will plant a tree with every order and will work with global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support reforestation worldwide. And because you're a lord or lady, you can change your name to that on documents like credit cards, plane tickets, or dating profiles if you think it'll help your chances. It makes a great last-minute gift. I actually got one for my dad and my sister. They even have couple packs that come with adjoining plots of land. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my Mendoza family plot, within a few minutes of walking distance. Depending on how many of you want to become our lord or lady, we can build a little Godzilla Mendoza kingdom. Established Titles is actually running an early Black Friday sale. Plus, if you use the code GMZilla, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/GMZilla to get your gifts now and help support the channel.
Iron Man.
Now, back to the video. Next, Iron
Man. Yo, that's badass. He did the Toonami thing. That's awesome.
I got it from here.
That's fucking
Why'd you
cool.
give me this one?
What?
I don't give a fuck about Iron Man. Look at me. I'm Tony Stark. I have so much charisma. Circa 2008. I'm no longer willing to be slaughtered down in this iron prison. But no. Hold up. Wait a minute. My prodigy that I've imprinted on has to learn a similar lesson, but in a juvenile and disciplinary context. So in turn, I feel the need to force my ideology onto them, but not
Bro, what
enforce
is
it
this
due to
man on
codependency.
about?
And I'm fucking on 4 moms? Pull up. He's just James Bond in a Gundam suit. Again, circa 2008, I guess. Most, if not all, media with the character after Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal borrow from his interpretation heavily, not really giving him any room to be anything but an arrogant ass, even though the films eventually evolved from that, with him ultimately being whittled down to a schizophrenic loudmouth. This series does so kinda loosely, with character traits involving Tony and some aesthetics, but mostly leaves it to the side, presumably due to its setting in Japan. Having him stationed there to establish cooperation with the Japanese government with his new ArcStation technology, and new Dio armor going into mass production, acting as a replacement for Iron Man following Tony's retirement.
Jojo.
But once the new armor's hijacked and he confronts a member of the so-called Zodiac, he armors up to hunt for the ones behind the catastrophic events that follow. Take anything I say about the show with a grain of salt because my lack of knowledge involving the character, which is limited to the prior mentioned movie appearances, his video game appearances outside of said movie tie-ins, most animated appearances, and for good measure, Link Carr's impression of him. What?
General, you see my tiny transistors increase the power.
Somebody cut off this man's be nasty. It's needed. Oh my god. Shut him the fuck up. I haven't dived into his source material deep cuts like I have with other characters that deeply interest me. So excuse me if this is actually a bad show, but a great Iron Man show. Maybe he's actually very upfront in a creepy way and not in a confident, charismatic way in his approach to women, and the movie's got that backwards. I don't know.
I think I know what your next question is. It's what everyone wants to know sooner or later.
Oh, really?
Who the hell is voicing
What's
him?
that?
Does Tony Stark close his eyes when he kisses?
His character takes a weird flip because he still is RDJ Light for most of it, and there's times where you think he's getting pretty serious, but then he makes a really juvenile remark or quip in the middle of a dire situation.
This'll be sweet.
But the series does take him pretty seriously around the middle mark. I thought I'd hate him starting off because of his blatant disregard for most people or things. Like he kicked a dog on some PETA shit, but then he has a change of heart as it goes along. Weirdly enough, every other piece of media that's not the movies, outside of Armored Adventures, haven't put him and Pepper together. So he actually tries settling down with Dr. Tanaka, who's an assistant to him with the ArcStation. You see him actively go out of his way to help people just as Tony, which like outside of Iron Man 3 with general audiences isn't seen much. It's too bad that I absolutely hate his voice acting. He always sounds like he's trying to be way too cool, which logically I'd understand thinking it fit his character, but instead of doing so, he just sounds really dramatic, like the emotions associated with the situations he's in are foreign to him and he always has to sound Sigma.
My oxygen supply all good to go, but there's still one issue I need to solve.
And that is...
Voices.
Oh,
Sounds kind
no
of
biggie really. Just haven't quite perfected the particle radiation shields for the armor yet.
The rest of the characters and voice acting is fine, if not over the top, but that's to be expected with this medium. Darren Norris is here and he's just J. Jonah Jameson from Spectacular again.
Internet's down again. Huh? What was that?
Everybody has a role to fill. Don't ask me why I'm using quotations. I'll kill
Matthew
you
Mercer.
with my bare hands. There's more focus on its plot than character, which is fine, but with its odd pacing, it doesn't really give you anyone to be attached to. Like the Japanese reporters who meet Rai Tony until they don't, Nanami and Ichiro. There's a few episodes where they're integral to the plot, but they're largely forgotten. Not by the series, no! They're a constant that I wasn't necessarily getting annoyed with, but they're for sure getting into that Godzilla vs. Kong school of not needing to be here.
Okay,
at all
he's
with this
voiced
garbage.
by
Dr.
Adrian
Tanaka herself is
Pascal.
seemingly a face value love interest, but there's times where she's pretty outspoken and takes a front seat to the action.
Hold on. We have proof that a virus is not the
Yeah, he's
cause of
voiced
this.
Iron Man a lot of shit.
Though there are some weird decisions made with her character.
Okay, it
as
hasn't
the
really done
overall
much
series
outside
goes on
Marvel.
that
More or less just
I'm not
voice Iron Man
100%
and shit and
rocking.
other things.
They're not super fleshed out or whatever. If anything, they're kind of
Beans and ramen.
uncomplicated. But I had notes on them, so I guess I felt the need. Again, maybe that's how Tony's supporting cast is, and this is just super accurate. I don't know. What I do know is that weirdly, Avengers villains get funneled into Tony's Rose Gallery, or vice versa. so that's why the Zodiac are here. But instead of weirdly themed animal costumes, they're all just robots. This series doesn't take much from his villains at all. Though the cliche of his villains being bigger and badder versions of him is a recurring topic I see as valid, that is an element I've liked with the villains I've seen. Them all playing a part in the bigger industry of the technology he innovates on or being based in such, and with an arms race being a source of conflict in this show, it feels like it could have used more of them, but instead it pushes that to the side for a thriller plot that largely feels disconnected and derivative. The story narrows from being episodic to becoming serialized. Xavier's video on Spectacular proves it can be done well, planting each scene for it to be expanded on and paid off by the end. But it doesn't have that same level of development. Say like episodes closer to the middle will put all their attention on a certain storyline with there being big events taking place to play out later, and then the next will just kinda be passive about it with one quick scene mentioning those events. The characters will just go on about whatever new conflict comes up and not press on anything involving it until like 2 episodes later, or even down to the final few episodes. With it starting off in an episodic format, the stories are pretty simple, which simple is fine, but it still moves to and from its story beats in a rush at times. This leaves things feeling like they constantly come from left field, with threads they pick up as the series goes on being very vaguely hinted at initially in a way that doesn't really leave you on the edge of your
What
seat,
the hell?
but instead leave you scratching your head. Well, guessing how to be specific. Ultimately, no, this series isn't very good at setting up plot twists and desperately needs a note from Power Rangers on how to set up its mystery characters in relation to its protagonist. I'd say watch it for yourselves and see if it's your thing, but I'm gonna be a fence-sitting bitch on this one and say I'm in the middle.
Man, you called Tony that one word a lot. It's really ugly seeing that written in all caps.
Officer, respectfully, what the hell are you talking about?
The X-Men anime series takes place right after this universe's version of the Dark Phoenix saga, where Jean Grey is dead, in big air quotes, and the team is disbanded to process their grief. But Professor X is visited by a strange psychic vision of a mutant boy in trouble and gathers the team together again to investigate a host of mutant disappearances in Japan, an area that is mysteriously outside of Xavier's ability to scan with Cerebro. Along the way, they recruit Emma Frost to be the team's new on-site telepath, and Armor for some Japanese mutant rep. Look, she's got those Miss Marvel powers. Aw. It appears that I watched these in the right order because now Wolverine is perfect. This is a huge step up from the other Wolverine. I mean, look at his character design. That's a Wolverine, all right. He's short and beefy, and he's got the right voice.
Thanks, Dr. Obvious.
Hey, Steve Bloom!
Plus, he wears the costume for a little bit in this show. Delicious. This show's X-Men roster is pretty awesome, and I love the voice cast for this dub. Cam Clark as Professor X is something I'd have never thought of, but he nails it.
The X-Men have received a call for help, and we answer every call, whether from mutant or human.
Leonardo's Professor X. And Fred Tatasciore as Beast is pretty cool, because, you know, he usually just gets cast as the Hulk and doesn't get a ton of speaking lines with his normal voice. He's normally just going, stuff, you know? And I really dig Scott Porter as Cyclops. I think he may actually be my favorite voice for that character.
Hank, open your eyes. They want to get mutants killing mutants, and so far we're playing right into their hands.
And Allie Hills as Emma Frost is cool.
Ah, bitch, she's fucking lightning. Goddamn it, why don't this fucking stupid to this bitch leave me be?
She sounds like Liara, that's rad. The team in this show is balanced very well as characters. Not any single one of them
Hey, who's
is
voicing
more
Storm?
over the others, and they all share pretty equal screen time. Normally, a lot of X-Men adaptations around this time would play a little bit of favoritism for Logan since he was so popular back then, but he's utilized well here. Just the angry, bitchy diva of the team, and always punching Cyclops in fits of rage. Because he secretly is in love with. Plus, these character designs are way more pleasant to look at. I wish they kept their more traditional costumes for, like, more of the running time of this series, but these new designs aren't bad.
Except for Beast's face. He looks like the kangaroo guys in Tank Girl. You look at Ice-T and tell me if there's an omniscient being.
He's a funny little dog guy. He's got a little snoot. He's a grown-ass man, and you can boop his snoot.
Dude, are you alright?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're still pretty comic booky and cool. I like Cyclops' silly shoulder pads. I wouldn't mind some of these being unlockable costumes in a game or something, actually. Overall, I just enjoy this show's aesthetic more than Wolverine because it's highly detailed in all the right ways instead of just looking visually loud. And the character designs don't fight against the fluidity of the animation.
What have we here?
Hey, I recognize that sound effect!
That was close.
The show's story is mostly original content. I'd say that part of it is a lot more engaging for me than the Wolverine stuff. It's hard to talk about it without going into spoilers, so I'll just say for sure that I do recommend this show, so here's where spoiler talk ends. So, the X-Fellows find out that a bunch of mutants are being kidnapped by robots in Japan because a human scientist named Yui Sasaki is there testing a cure for the X gene on them and is basically this universe's equivalent of Moira McTaggart because she used to have a relationship with Charles. Her attempts at creating a cure, however, have been causing mutants to turn into crazy, horrific Cronenberg monsters instead of alleviating their superpowered swelling. Yui also sells her soul for this cause by working with psychos like the U-Men, who are nutty transhumanist cultists that want to steal mutant powers for themselves, and Jason Wingard from the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. Normally he's not the leader of that group, but here he is for some reason. I thought it was Kevin Bacon. She's trying to cure the mutant condition because she secretly had a son with Professor X, who's an Omega-level mutant on the verge of causing catastrophe with his out-of-control powers. There's a nice setup and payoff here because the show starts with the team failing to save Jean Grey when she's lost control, and here they try to do it all over again with Charles' son, Takeo Sasaki, who is based partially on Legion from the comics, I guess.
Oh, dude, that's that show that made me want to fuck Aubrey Plaza.
Were those Fox X-Men series any good? Legion or The Gift? I never watched any of them.
The team's major struggles throughout the show are teaching Armor to control her powers as the newest and youngest member of the team, and Cyclops learning to trust Emma Frost after she was framed by the Inner Circle for having a hand in Jean Grey's death. During this final episode, Takeo is finally set loose on the world by Mastermind to wipe out humanity, and Charles puts out a psychic call to the world's heroes to help the X-Men stop him. So we get a bunch of cool cameos like Nightcrawler, Iron Man, Rogue, Colossus, Archangel, oh, even Deadpool! This came out before the game, so he's just there like looking cool and like menacing instead of like fornicating with a burrito and singing show tunes or whatever. I like the black coloring on the outside of his mask seams so it matches his torso. That's kind of neat. I've never seen that before. This show's got a lot of heart to its story and some very fun moments, and it's just nice seeing a relatively small X-Men team in animated form again since the 90s show. You know, since that was the only one trying to keep its cast tight and focused. This series knows what it's going for and conveys the qualities of X-Men we know and love in a fresh way, and I had a good time watching it. Check it out!
Dude, how long did it take Xavier to edit that together? That little tsunami thing.
I was born that night tainted by the same evil that killed my mother. That's why whenever I hunt, I keep in mind the warning my mentor gave me. He always used to tell me to guard my soul when looking at the darkness, because the darkness is always looking back.
There's few alternate universes I want to live on. The one where Speed Racer found its director in Hype Williams, and the one where every redesign of Blade had to follow his initial appearances as opposed to sticking with his movie look. We were pretty close with Greg Smallwood's pitch of Midnight Suns, but the world doesn't want us to have nice things now, does it? They stuck us with Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal King and quickly forgot about the Hellstrom show.
The Hellstrom show?
See what I mean?
Praise my son, Blade! His name is Blade!
The show starts out with the Daywalker up to his usual supernatural investigative endeavors until he has a run-in with Deacon Frost, the man responsible for his mudblood heritage, leaving him and an up-and-coming vampire hunter to go on a globe-trotting adventure to stop him from eradicating all human life to get to the higher council of vampires, you son of a bitch!
That's like if you wanted to get elected governor by destroying all the world's grocery stores and restaurants.
There's probably Megacorp CEOs that can get away with that in their respective universes. I came into the series expecting Hellsing Ultimate Light material or Vampire Hunter D. Lots of sick Blade fights and super gory elements with sick-ass gothic imagery to set the tone. And I wasn't entirely off, just not on to the point it scratched the heroin-infested hole in my veins for that type of stuff. I was just waiting to see a full red sky like Batman the Animated Series or, well, The Batman, with every episode featuring a blood moon. But, alas, I was surprised how little blood shows up in a series about vampires, even if this was after the Disney merger. It only gets bloody closer to the end of the season. Other than that, all the violence is just fiery deaths like in the movies, which I can live without, but it doesn't hurt to get a little violent.
You're going to spill every single thing you know, or I'm going to have Walter here peel your dick like a banana.
For the most part, I actually like the action that takes place.
Stuff.
It's pretty well paced and each character doesn't stick to the same fighting style. That's a problem I had with Iron Man. There was too much of just flying and blasting and not a lot of variation between them. Though this series does
does seemingly cut corners at times, but that's probably due to budget constraints. There's scenes that resort to still images and flashes between them to imply action. Some reused assets, though very few. There's also this recurring action dubbed the
see what I did there?
Dubbed the deadly sword technique, and I thought it was a cool idea based off the background they showed us in the show. But I would have preferred if they used it more scarcely throughout, because it doesn't really have any impact as the show goes on. It's like, come on, it's a super cool move. You gotta let me be hyped whenever it shows up. I wanna be. I did really get hyped when they started the series off with some smooth blues, but that really showed up in favor of mostly rock and orchestral, which isn't bad, but I was really feeling that sax. That and the two-tone color scheme of the series. I can understand you watching it now and thinking of it being a little hard to look at with a lot of the environments being few gray-centric colors or very muddy, but I think it helps the series' aesthetics. Like with episode 2 seeming like this weirdly out-of-place noir story off the bat, with a POV switch that doesn't really focus on at all till the start of the second act. It's especially favored when certain environments stand out. Even little things like as we follow the story with vampire hunting life, the atmosphere being very dreary and muted. Yet there's a lot of warmer colors surrounding his flashbacks of his younger years with his foster mother, but that dreariness slowly seeping in from time to time as it goes on.
What's that smell?
The show is surprisingly very character focused, with it giving us a lot of Blade's upbringing. It doesn't necessarily give you every detail of his motivations and mindset, but it gives you a rough idea of why he is the way he is and why this path is the one he took, with you seeing a lot of his mentors and adversaries return for better or for worse. I really liked how him and the up-and-coming hunter, Makoto, are approached when it comes to their dynamic. She gets caught up with Blade after he kills her father due to him being infected with the sucking cock disease and having to put him down, but she eventually realizes it's bigger than her and decides to side with him. She doesn't really feel like an obligatory sidekick addition, with her being kind of the comic relief in a way that's self-aware but not being overbearing and taking nothing seriously. She can just find the humor in the situation she finds herself in when it comes to this whole journey.
Well, sounds like someone means business.
Yeah, but it's none of our business.
You do take me to the nicest places.
Other characters assume her and Blade are involved, but luckily the series had the restraint needed to keep it professional, unlike some other shows. Plus there's a Van Helsing descendant that shows up and he's pretty cool, acting as sort of an uncle role. With all this praise, I can't give it the same props when it comes to villains. Deacon Frost, though I like his attitude at times, is pretty underwhelming, and honestly kinda has a confusing motivation and mission plan. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, I don't know. You know who caught my eye though is this little feisty thing named Lucius. He's just so silly, he's just so goofy. You could say that he puts me in a silly, goofy mood. And I'm a pretty big fan of the variation of creature design shown throughout. For some reason, I thought from the first episode it would just stick to vampire and werewolf warfare, but a whole bunch of different types of things show up. And, you ain't hear from me, but, the Mononongo is kind of bad, though.
Whoa, what the?
What? She reminds me of Betty when she was a harpy. Well, I guess the first time.
Got what I was getting into when I brought you on.
I say watch it. It's cool. It's got some cool moments, some cool characters, some cool action, and every episode ends on some sick-ass imagery.
True, I felt very little in killing him. But killing you will be a pleasure.
I'm pretty sure it's Steve Bloom.
Bring it.
Vor. So anyway, everyone used to meme on this show.
What I actually meant to say was, hi, I'm Xavier. I'm a black man now. We have a quota to fill. I have to make money. So in order to fill that quota, we're going to go over the movies that Madhouse made as well. Pardon the interruption. Thank you for complying, and on to the regularly scheduled program.
This movie is like a weird pseudo-sequel to the first live-action one, but so are most Marvel things anyway now. Tony is working on a project to, build a satellite surveillance system to watch everyone on Earth and stop crimes before they happen with predictive algorithms.
I named this satellite Howard, after my dad, who always watched out for me.
Major Cap, reporting for duty, sir!
Fucking hypocrite. But then it's interrupted by this little shit stain in a nanomachine suit.
I am the future.
Why do blonde-haired, blue-eyed people always say that?
I can probably give you a few reasons. As all about Iron Man is known here again, but I guess I have a question to Iron Man fans out there, and by extent the small amount of Raiders fans that also happen to be Technivore fans. Is Technivore that big of a deal when it comes to Iron Man? I was taken aback with his appearance here because I'm used to him being this cybernetic alien-looking fuckhole in his... It's?
Don't misgender the nanomachine fuckholes, son.
Other animated appearances. Then in this, he's like a symbiotic host to nanomachines in this one, and then he stays cooped up in this room that kind of... I look at it, it kind of reminds me of... Oh God! So personally, I'm just confused as to what this guy's thing is. Like, I'm surprised he shows up so much when he's only in like 2 issues originally. Funnily enough, in the longer feature, they decide to hand animate the suits as opposed to them being CG the entire time. I prefer most of the art styles outside of the main 4 series initially made, and that goes for here too. A lot of the time in here, they have Iron Man backlit in contrast with the glowing parts on his suit, and I think it enhances his design. He does have an oddly narrow abdomen though, which the unsung logistics of how big the suits are in comparison to their uses is kinda touched on with these designs, but maybe I'm still stuck to Tony's weird goo that comes out of his suit in the Ultimate Universe.
So the entire satellite project goes ass up and Rhodey is buried under a collapsing building and shit's crazy! So Tony goes on a quest to find this rat bastard while S.H.I.E.L.D. aggressively tries to arrest him for seemingly no good reason. Along the way, he teams up with the Punisher, voiced by Norman Reedus, who gets top billing in the credits despite being a rather minor character.
Bunch of bleeding heart S.H.I.E.L.D. weaklings. Tell Nick I...
Screen actors get more credit than voice actors, and it's irritating every goddamn time. Oh god. But Black Widow and Hawkeye spend more time trying to rein in Iron Man than hunt down the villain behind the attack, while Tony is trying desperately to get to the bottom of the mystery villain and his crazy nanomachines. Son. Along the way, Iron Man realizes that the villain is actually the unheard-of retcon child of Obadiah Stane, whom he killed in the movie, and that's canon here a little. Ezekiel Stane wants revenge for his father, and bonds with a horrible nanomachine monster designed by AIM to destroy the world. And then there's the creepy Jeff Bridges on the ceiling. I don't have much to say about this movie, other than the dub cast is pretty good. And I like how Iron Man wears his armor in pretty much the entire damn movie. The plot and villain in this feel a lot like a tech-based Resident Evil story, considering the villain's creepy eugenics-themed motive and grotesque body transformations into a huge monster at the end. For some reason, Hawkeye won't stop smiling, and it makes him 100% more punchable. Black Widow did not need to fuck up the Punisher this bad. Jesus!
That bitch spun that nigga around like a Beyblade, damn!
Oh, hey, Black Widow. You want to star in an anime film with me?
Avengers confrontational. Avengers controversial. Avengers
The fucking spider that eats his husband's head in The Punisher.
So this is a direct sequel to Technovore, but the voice cast is different. Kinda. Instead, this movie's annoying screen actor that gets top billing is Jennifer Carpenter as Black Widow, whom you may know from Dexter and Quarantine.
Wait!
Drake is an amazing horror movie, by the way. I still have yet to see the Quarantine now. One day I'll watch it.
She's not very good here. Please, God, just hire voice actors to voice act. No one's gonna drop everything they're doing and buy this DVD just because they saw her name on the box.
What? You don't like... As Mario?
Once again, S.H.I.E.L.D. are annoying and just, fucking stop getting into everyone's shit. They're just annoying. Stop. Punisher's just doing his Punisher thing. They arrest Frank Castle for killing guys they were gonna arrest, and then recruit him for a mission to stop an evil spy organization from doing mind control stuff and selling weapons or something. So Frank and Natasha put aside their differences and team up to save the day. And then Black Widow's ex-boyfriend is here dressed like the Red Guardian, but he's actually Egghead from the comics? What? All the characters you could pull, you got him? Why not just, like, make a new character? It's so wildly different anyway.
Yeah. Let's make him accessible to the millennials. Yeah.
The
Bro,
plot in
back
this one's
away
pretty
from the
thin.
mic.
It's just kind of an excuse to run from location to location killing bad guys. I do like the art style better than Technovore here. It's the same character designs, just drawn in a slightly more appealing way. At the end, the bad guys are in Madripoor and are readying their attack when the Avengers show up to kick some ass. And Iron Man is explicitly stated to be the same one from the other movie, so that's neat, I guess. This movie isn't really that interesting, but at least they wrote Punisher in character for both of these because he hates the government and was more concerned about reducing civilian casualties, so ACAB Punisher is cool.
I don't got much to say about these movies except the last one was slinging dick everywhere. Who the fuck was on the storyboard team that like dick? What the fuck you want to go to Madripoor for so bad? Some dick?
Sorry, but I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at. Would you mind running that by us again?
Nothing's too convoluted for you to wrap your brain around, and they just get to the point of their stories pretty quickly. I think they're a pretty fun time if you don't pay attention, which is totally not what me and Xavier did, because we're professionals and we have integrity to keep up and need to constantly be observant with our jobs.
Vor.
Hell yeah. Now, what's next?
Hey, since this is a longer video, I just wanted to give a shout out to my pals James and Maddie over at Watchtower Database, who recently published one of their biggest and most ambitious projects ever. If you're a fan of the DC animated universe or DC Comics in general, their channel is a super in-depth archive of canon, video essays, and lore analysis with a lot of humor and some storytelling of their own thrown in. For their video discussing Batman and Harley Quinn's place in DCAU canon, Jacob and I used our skills combined to help put a funny cartoon alien man in the video for them and some of the live-action sketches, and he sounds like Kurtwood Smith.
Dumbass.
So this is interesting.
Go check it out. Everyone involved worked really hard on it. It's a great video. This feels like a show pitched as a parody of the concept of an Avengers anime in, like, 2005. Like, all the tropey, toyetic crap you'd expect. A group of kids with colorful hair run around with collectible gadgets that allow them to summon badasses to fight on their behalf. And each kid in the group has their own special sidekick that they're bonded with. The characters even shout the names of the super moves they're doing in combat.
I mean, that's just anime in general.
You know, like Bakugan, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Digimon, Duel Masters, and probably 100 others. These watches may as well have a Bandai logo printed on them in the show. I guess someone figured kids would find this show more relatable with young main characters without powers to be a window into the world of Marvel superheroes.
A superhero like you and a regular kid like me are the same?
Precisely.
But what if I told you, of all the Marvel anime I've seen, this one is by far my favorite? Not only that, but I genuinely think this show kicks ass. I'm not making a joke. You gotta hear me out. Like, the premise makes it sound terrible, but you gotta watch it for yourself. The series focuses primarily on two brothers, Akira and Hikaru, whose dad abandoned
I can already see the Alley ship fan art. Probably already exists, too.
them to work at Stark Enterprises building a portable device that can trap supervillains in small discs. You know Iron Man, he's always building ethically questionable detainment for criminals.
You designed this holographic projection system so you could communicate with the supervillains you imprisoned in the discs?
Exactly. You don't get tired or hungry, and thanks to its healing properties, I'm completely recovered.
You don't even get 3 square meals a day or a bed to sleep in. You're just digitized onto a fucking flash drive where you're never hungry or tired or even able to die. Just permanently conscious in one everlasting, uninterrupted moment, only able to communicate with the world through a tiny incorporeal hologram.
D secure.
Conceptually, this is an inhuman fucking nightmare, and everyone involved in this is an asshole. But this serves as a handy plot device so that these kids are able to serve as the arbiters and caretakers of the Avengers. With their parents' permission, of course. This came out shortly after the first Avengers movie, so as you'd imagine, Loki is a central character. And the series starts with him crashing the unveiling of these discs at the supervillain prison called the Raft. In the attack, he forces all the Avengers into these incomprehensible sci-fi prisons, as well as collects up all the villains that are in the Raft too. In the scuffle, all of them are scattered all over the world, so he can also have that scavenger hunt, collect them all before the bad guys can type of cartoon bullshit too.
What do we do with
A
these?
Dragon Ball.
Collect them and trade them with our friends?
They might as well be the talismans like that Jackie Chan show, or one of Stitch's 625 cousins. Actually,
Hey, bro, that
Dragon
Lilo
Ball
and
is
Stitch
probably
show
the most
fucking
obvious
slapped, bro, and so did that Jackie Chan series. They were both pretty good.
Conveniently, the accident also places a genetic code into the two brothers and a few other kids who were bystanders during the attack, so only they can control when the Avengers are released from these discs. All of the Avengers are also trapped in these things almost indefinitely and can only materialize into human form for a few minutes before they're digitized again. Why is it necessary for the little red backwards hat wearing kid to spin around 3 times before letting Iron Man out of the box? Because they need something cool during these transformation scenes, and Iron Man can't digivolve or whatever the fuck. The even weirder part of all this is that the villains don't have the same time limit problem and could theoretically stay out of these stupid discs indefinitely, but for whatever reason choose to be put in them anyway so they can be summoned by other villains. So, like, you walk up on Johnny Bankrobber about to kick his ass, and then he's like, MODOK, I choose you! And then MODOK starts shooting lasers at you, and it's weird world we live in. It's Speaking of everlasting uninterrupted moments, weirdly enough, this show is pretty easy to binge watch because every episode pretty much leads directly into the next.
Karu, maybe you could
Oh,
use a
wait,
break.
hold on, back up.
Episode
Yeah, so Spidey gets the Venom symbiote in this series. Cool.
pretty much leads directly into the next.
The design looks a lot better.
Karu, maybe you could use a break too. All of us have been through a lot this last couple of days.
Sometimes 5 or 6 episodes at a time can take place on the same day. I think it's so you feel less weird about the horror of the Avengers being trapped in Pokeballs, but this show takes place over a really short amount of time despite having over 50 episodes. They even
50 episodes? What is this shit, fucking Naruto? Bro, why this shit 50 episodes? You're not fucking Naruto, bro. This ain't fucking Black Clover. Do Pokemon series even run that long after the 90s? Like some of the recent ones, those go to like 50 episodes?
sometimes mention the events of the previous episode as like that thing that happened yesterday.
You seemed to have a good time with them yesterday when you were playing video games.
So I'd guess that this show takes place over the course of a month or two at most. Around the 10th episode, Loki disguised as a senator pulls some strings to get the Superhero Registration Act signed into law, meaning superheroes are either regulated or outlawed in the US, and this is an excuse for the Avengers to hang out in Japan for the entire rest of the show, and so the animators can draw more familiar background locations. I'm not sure how to feel about Iron Man calling the Japanese kids Samurai Boy all the time.
Didn't even know you were a superhero. What are you called? Samurai Boy? Backwards Cap Kid?
Akira.
Hang on tight, Samurai Boy. Know what I mean, Samurai Boy?
Would you stop calling me that?
Why is he calling him that? What about Chris, the blonde kid from New York? He doesn't call him Samurai Boy. I think there's a racist undertone to it, but that's because I read every action Iron Man takes as uncharitably as possible.
So I gave my company access to the security footage across the entire island complex.
Is that really okay to do?
All the studies prove extensive surveillance is effective in crime prevention. And what is privacy anyway?
Tony Stark is racially motivated.
You'd think given my track record of vehemently hating Transformers sidekicks that I despise all these non-superhero kids, but they're actually really fleshed out and likable characters. Akira rejects his schoolwork and scoffs at science because he misses his father, but also resents him for leaving. Pairing him with Iron Man is interesting because Tony isn't exactly the fatherly type, but he and Akira start to bond over their fun-loving attitudes, and eventually Akira decides he wants to go into scientific fields because, you know, he wants to be more like his hero. Hikaru fully embraces science from the start to impress their dad once they meet up again, but he also had to become overprotective and responsible for his younger brother while they didn't have parents to watch over them. Which Thor finds relatable because he's always chasing after his little brother and feeling responsible for his actions. Jessica is the rich girl and speaks a lot about giving to the less fortunate, but has an arc where she realizes that these things are performative when in practice she accidentally treats the other kids as lesser for not being as well off as she is, and has to humble herself and treat them as equals.
Fucking trust fund, baby.
Chris tries to appear more mysterious and emotionally closed off, but identifies most with Captain America for his strong sense of duty and responsibility to protect the younger kids in the group. He also has a hidden passion for cooking that he's insecure about the other kids knowing about. And Edward is a little nerdy coward doofus that ironically gets paired with the Hulk. He's the weakest character. He actually does suck. I don't like him that much. But the rest are cool. These discs capturing superheroes are an odd storytelling choice, but they go really in depth with the concept and build the world around them. A lot of heroes have different reactions to them, like Wolverine finding them conceptually appalling as they remind him of Sentinels capturing mutants.
These discs of yours could end up being just as bad.
What is this design, bro? The gray ain't working. If this was all black, this suit would probably work, but the gray just kills it.
It's the Sentinels all over again.
It could never
Well, at
happen
least they got
again.
Steve
We've
Blum
learned
back.
from our mistakes.
Tell that to Cyclops.
In one episode, Falcon is gravely injured in battle and agrees to be contained in the disc for its healing properties to save his life. While one episode later, Deadpool is faced with a similar situation after Zemo attacks him with a sword that negates his healing factor, and he decides that he'd rather die than be trapped in that damn thing and takes his chances with his stomach being slashed open. Every hero who appears in this is written in character, and they're all naturally very distinct from each other. Which is why it's exciting that this show has a ton of guest heroes popping in and out of the story who aren't really affected by the disc stuff. Like Spider-Man frequently checks in on the trapped Avengers, and we see he's still got a life going on outside of the events of this show.
Amigo! Chimichanga! Take out. Bang bang! Pow pow pow! Woohoo! Take that!
And yes, Deadpool is here after the game came out, so he's buying Mexican food and shouting bang every time he shoots his gun. But ironically, I still like this show's take on him a whole lot because he's not really aggressive or cruel. He's weird and eccentric, but in a sort of meek and humble way, so it comes across as more endearing. And other characters actually find him occasionally funny.
Huh? What's this? The disc was a fake?
He tricked us.
I can't believe I trusted him. Deadpool, you goofball.
Yeah. Plus, he does get a few badass moments, like his sword fight with Zemo that gets taken pretty seriously. Blade shows up, and you can tell the animators love the Wesley Snipes movies because he does the same moves.
Hell yeah.
Yeah! And he actually kills vampires here.
Badass.
Plus, some more obscure characters get special attention, like Silver Samurai, or the X-Men character Surge, since they're, some of the more prominent Japanese Marvel characters. Kind of weird that Silver Samurai is more prevalent here than in the other show where Wolverine is trying to date his half-sister and kill his dad. Why wasn't he over there? The character designs in the show are an acquired taste. At first I didn't like them, but they grow on you. And, I like how rather than using the movies as a basis, some of them are more noticeably referenced from the other cartoons from this time. Like Mandarin and Whiplash looking like they're from Armored Adventures. Or Graviton's design from Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And Doc Ock is a stupid robot ball like in Ultimate Spider-Man. However, the Guardians of the Galaxy are pretty shamelessly just the movie versions, like 1-to-1. The original character designs in here are hit or miss. Like, this Doctor Strange is cool, this Wolverine is nice, but then this Iron Fist is a little weird. Like, Captain America looks like... The series shared a lead character designer with Dragon Ball Z, and sometimes that really pops out. Like, just look at Red Skull. He looks like a red Namekian or something. These designs may be pretty detailed, but they can really move when the time comes for a fight scene, and this show's choreography is awesome. Some of these battles are really fluidly animated and showcase the character's powers perfectly. Like, look at that. Look, do you see that? That was awesome. Do you see that one?
Holy shit!
Oh, fuck. You see that?
One order of sea snake, extra soggy.
Shit, that was awesome.
Yeah, bro.
The fact that it's all hand animated and none of it is cheated with the occasional 3D model too is nothing short of impressive. Iron Man suplexes Loki from orbit in the last episode, so definitely watch this show. Over the series, the kids upgrade their connections to the Avengers and the discs, allowing them to be free for longer and longer, and Iron Man even comes up with cool finisher moves that require the kids' help to use. And the kids prove useful in a lot of creative ways that justify their addition to the story, as well as add a bunch of stuff that would, easily turn into an action figure. I will mention that, yes, we've been watching the dubs for all of these, and I know that there's a lot of elitism and annoying conversations that come from that in the anime fandoms.
Yep.
I'll just say that I kind of prefer just watching the dub for these shows in particular, because these are English-speaking characters from an English-speaking country, and, it makes a lot more sense to have it be in English. I could buy that, maybe Akira and Hikaru from Disc Wars are just, bilingual and just speak English, rather than every character from New York also just speaks Japanese all the time. You know what I mean? But this series in particular has a really amazing voice cast for the dub. These are some of my favorite casting choices for these particular characters. Matt Mercer's Iron Man really grew on me in this series.
Hell yeah.
I love Roger Craig Smith as Captain America. And Steve Blum as Wolverine once again legitimizes any project. But this English dub is no longer available to view officially anywhere in HD. It was only broadcast in Southeast Asia for a short time and then never again. And the only surviving recording of the dub is blurry, has a Disney XD watermark, and a bunch of full commercial breaks. I searched high and low for this series, but that HD English dub was never released on DVD, isn't streaming anywhere, and no longer airs on any TV station in the world. So, it's impossible to watch officially. Now you may be asking, but Xavier, you've been showing HD footage of the show with the English dub throughout the whole review so far. So where'd you get that from? Well, I had to remaster the entire show just for this video.
He's had me bent over for a week with no lube.
Wait, what?
We took the footage from the Japanese version, turned off the subtitles, sped it up 4% to sync it to the English version, which is faster for some reason.
Wait, why'd they have to sped it up? Like, wouldn't it be exactly in the same time with the English cast? Kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. I don't know. Maybe that was just something they did during the dubbing process. I don't fucking know.
And then did that for all 51 episodes. I did the most episodes of anyone, but naturally this was a massive undertaking, so I brought some help from a few of my youth.
Do you happen to have a link to this version, Xavier? I would like to watch it or download it.
Two pals to get it all done in just under a week. Editors, assemble! Thanks to all these fantastic fellas for taking the time to help me save the English dub of this goofy animes from obscurity. Sometimes I had to fix the timing of the English version that talked for a few seconds less, or there were shots with guns firing that were censored out, and I put them back in. A lot of care and love went into this remaster, so it's, it's kind of my fan edit. And unfortunately for legal reasons though, I can't release my HD dub of the show.
It'd be really bad to Marvel as a corporation and I guess Japan as a nation if that copy just leaked onto a bunch of pirate sites anonymously.
Mike, have you developed a Twitch? What's going on there?
What the hell are you talking about, you son of a bitch?
Hey, yo, I might have to check some of my... I might have to check...
Oh my god! Somebody called me! Sorry, yeah, I really like the show, and it's fun character dynamics, and it's cool fight scenes, and it's massive cast.
I'll just check some of the pirate sites I frequent to see if I can find it.
And the finale's fun. And it's a shame this show is pretty much impossible to watch now, but if you find a way... then give it a watch! Future Avengers isn't about a new roster of heroes in the 22nd century or something. It's about the trainees that will be Avengers someday. It's not explicitly connected to Disc Wars, but it's meant to be a spiritual successor. The show starts with a team coming across a group of kids that have been given superpowers by Hydra and trained to be assassins and villains for hire. But Tony Stark, being a billionaire tech CEO, jumps at the idea of exploiting child labor and brings them into the fold as sidekicks. Barring the inclusion of these Hydra kids, it's a much more standard Avengers show with more usual stories. Maybe that's more your thing, but
they didn't put a direct link in here.
Part of what made Discord
like I said, after the video's done, I'm gonna go check some of my pirates to see if I can find it.
Severely impeded by their predicament. The limitations of the discs stop them from being as overpowered as they are when they're unified and working at full capacity. And it was dramatic when these normal kids were put in these extremely dangerous and risky situations because they were the only ones who could do it. These kids are all super and have constantly evolving powers for direct combat, so they're really not that different from the Avengers themselves. It's just 4 more superheroes added to the roster, and it's a little less special, if that makes sense. And frankly, I don't like them as characters nearly as much. They're not as strongly developed, their voices are kind of annoying, and I don't even think their powers are that cool. If the kids are just going to be young superheroes, then why even bother with OCs at all? May as well just have the future Avengers be, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Nova, and Ironheart. Maybe Miles... like, actual characters from the comics. One is an airbender, one is a shapeshifter, the other can control computers, and Bruno over here has metal arms and can grow wings. Also, Makoto can sometimes have wings, and they both have this weird, silly-looking face paint. I don't know. The series also came out in the era where Marvel kept saying, no, X-Men don't exist because we don't have the movie rights. Fuck you, Inhumans are the new hotness. So they get a particularly big spotlight when all the kid heroes got their powers from, like, a Terrigen crystal, I guess. I don't mind seeing more Black Bolt, though. I love that guy.
Clear the way.
The big bad for this show is Kang the Conqueror. It's something to watch with him in it while we're waiting for the movie version in a few years,
You mean to tell me you've never watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes all the way through, but you watched 51 episodes of Disc Wars and 39 episodes of this?
Yeah, because Deadpool's in these. It's really that simple.
Alright, fair enough, if you say so.
Voice cast is half returning voices from Disc Wars, half new voices to sound more like the movie counterparts.
Hey, show us your big feet, why don't you, Captain Marvel?
Like they got that faux RDJ voice from What If in here.
Please tell me that's not how
Matt
Tony
Mercer at
actually
this
sounds
point.
like
This
that, bro.
voice just reminds me of...
Jarvis, initiate cock and ball torture protocol.
And Thor is played by the guy who always voices Scorpion.
You really are a foolish lad.
Oh shit, that's Dio. Fuck. What was his name? Patrick something? Let me check. I know his name. Dio behind the voice actors. I know his name. I know who voices him, man. I know who voices him. Patrick Sitz. I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, but him. Sick. God, no, cool. Yeah, he's in here. Thor is voiced by Dio.
You're foolish. I cannot deny your bravery.
We got to keep Spisick as Deadpool, though.
Hey, what's up, big man? Looks like something's bugging you. I think I know what's got you down. You're worried about all your new powers. You fear them, and at the same time, you're trying hard to understand them. But you're not alone. I'm here for you, buddy. I'm glad we had this heart-to-heart.
The only toyetic roleplay accessory toy stuff in this show is the future Avengers watches that activate their costumes. Plus, it has an AI that looks like a silly talking octopus.
Good day! At least I believe it's day! It talks?
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Download complete! Visco is reborn!
Jesus, Tony, why'd you dumb it down so much? They're preteens, they're not 5. For some reason, this and Disc Wars just refuse to acknowledge that Hulk can turn back into Bruce Banner. I guess it's easier to keep the team roster smaller and more focused, since Banner and Hulk are technically 2 separate and distinct characters, but, you know, maybe 1 episode with Bruce would have been nice. This show has a few strange little quirks that set it apart, I suppose. I don't really care for this show's serialized story arcs because they're kind of boring and overdramatic, and I don't care about Kang that much, but it has a lot of really entertaining one-off episodes that are on the lighthearted side that I would recommend. Here are a few of my favorites. They did a down-to-earth Hawkeye episode where he just nurses a sick cat back to health in his apartment, and then it gets weird halfway through when he puts a little Iron Man suit on.
Iron Cat.
Slingshot, wait!
Both this and Disc Wars have a clip show episode halfway through to catch you up on what's happened in the series so far. But in
they're called recap episodes, bro.
Future Avengers, it's intentionally a really stupid episode where Visco, the AI octopus, goes rogue, and things get weird and fucking hilarious.
Go for Thor. What? Wasp, he's yours. Odin has slipped and injured his back. BRB. I'm coming, father!
What the hell?
Your kindness has always been your greatest weakness. Think about it. With your stealth abilities, you could topple whole regimes if you just abandon your morals. Nah, you'll never catch Visco now, Captain America.
Am I high on LSD or something?
Visco's right. I am helpless.
Season 2 is just generally way weirder and funnier than the first. Ironically, Disc Wars was a lot more grounded than this. Otherwise, this show's big thing is trying to recreate aesthetics and moments from the MCU as closely as possible. It used to be contained to just Iron Man, but now it's more widespread. Occasionally something more comic booky will slip through, like this Ms. Marvel origin episode, or a 3-part event where Green Goblin sends the Hulk on a rampage and steals the Hulkbuster suit, or a team-up with Kid Kaiju, who's a more recent addition to the comics. Those are the parts of the show that I found the most fun to watch, but everything else in between is just like, eh. I don't love it nearly as much as Disc Wars, but I suppose it's fine. It's definitely more accessible, both figuratively and literally. You can actually just watch this one in its entirety on Disney+, one of the biggest streaming services.
Wait, seriously? Hold on, let me check that right now. Let me check.
In the world. Hey, Disney Japan or whoever, if you want to discourage piracy, make your shows easily viewable through legitimate means so piracy isn't even necessary. If you let me watch these shows officially, then I absolutely
Holy shit, it
will.
is!
Until then, though,
yeah, it's down here.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see it, but yeah, it's on Disney Plus. I added it to my list.
I just realized something.
What's that?
Is there anything in these shows that contradicts them all being part of, like, a single timeline? The Marvel anime universe? Sure, the character designs and the voice casts change from time to time, but they're also really consistent for some characters. Matt Mercer as Iron Man in particular appears a lot.
You think it matters if they're really connected?
Not really, but it's fun to see the little potential connections. Iron Man in Disc Wars mentions his dark past with Ironmonger, which is implied by that, and Technovore kind of just confirms it's the same as having Stane's death recreated. Him showing up in Disc Wars doesn't necessarily deconfirm this because comic book deaths, and Tony is really surprised to see him, so maybe.
He has to use the same cum coating in Disc Wars to go to space as the Iron Man series, and even though the process is different, the final results kind of look the same, and he describes it like it's something he's done before. I wonder if Iron Man 3 got the Gemini armor having the white color scheme from this show and or Armored Adventures.
Graviton has the same design almost in Disc Wars and like Avengers Confidential, which is just the Earth's Mightiest Heroes design, so that's a connection. Magneto is mentioned as being in prison in X-Men, but shows up later in Disc Wars, maybe like escaped in the time sense. Beast's in both shows and has relatively the same design. Deadpool is pretty much the same across Disc Wars and Future Avengers. Future Avengers has about the same team lineup as Disc Wars.
Little twink boy Ezekiel Stane pops up again, and he aged pretty well if I do say so myself. Some of his lines imply that him and Tony have fought before, so it might be the one from Technovore. He dons something a little more comic accurate in comparison to his nanosuit, but it could still be a possibility.
One of the only things that pokes a hole in my theory is that Bucky's appearance and alleged death in Disc Wars and Future Avengers are different, with the former version of Captain America believing he was killed by Red Skull, and the latter seeing him explode in a plane crash on a mission. The other biggest problem with this theory is connecting Disc Wars and Future Avengers, because the Avengers themselves act like they've never met Blizzard before in Future when he showed up for an episode of Disc Wars, and both of these versions of him are like super different.
So who is this charmer anyway?
Well, he calls himself Blizzard.
Other than that, this theory is really helped by crossovers always being punctuated with the characters going, "Oh yeah, I know that guy," and having an implied history off screen, so no two characters ever meet up for the first time twice, as far as I can tell in these shows. I'm glad I dug deep into these shows, seeing as how Marvel's animation on the Western side of things hasn't been a huge priority for the company in the last 10 years, and the quality of these series has been a little up and down. It's nice that the Marvel Universe has been getting a lot of love from Japan. Slightly more mature stories, more detailed and exciting animation, more unique stories from the usual stuff we see in the US shows, makes this lineup a lot of fun to watch and catch up on. And I do hope that Japanese studios keep making shows like this for some time. DC,
give us Marvel Visions already, man. Get Studio Bones to make a Spider-Man anime. Get the C Studio, the team that does Hirawaka, have them do a Spider-Man anime. Please get them for just do what you do with Star Wars Vision and do with Marvel, bro. Get Studio Bones on that shit.
He only has like 2 of these so far, so there was less to make a video about there.
No, there's not. There's like 3. He's missing Batman Gotham Knights, that anime anthology series, like Animatrix. Bro, how could you forget that? Batman Gotham Knight fucking slaps. That's an amazing show. I love an anthology, rather, OVA. Love that thing. Actually, isn't there another Batman anime I'm missing? Hold on. I know there's Gotham Knight. Yeah, just Gotham Knight.
But, more of that too, please. Personally, I've always thought it was a no-brainer to make a Spider-Man shonen series. He's a teenage superhero with immense strength that fights monstrous villains and has a rotating cast of potential love interests and girls with different colored hair. It's such an easy connection. Somebody get on that. It could be like the new Rey versus Asuka, but with like Gwen and MJ, like the Weeb Wars will start again.
They'd finally get to adapt that James Cameron scene where he comes in his shorts. That's like not out of line for Japan.
Oh my god, we're bringing up Ava, bro. I'm pretty sure this is from End of Evangelion, which I haven't seen yet, although I have seen this scene.
Right?
Oh, Jesus Christ. And also check out Disc Wars when you get the chance. That show's fun. I can't recommend it enough. Thanks to Muzzy for helping me out with this video. Be sure to check out his channel because his solo stuff is incredibly funny and insightful, and who knows, maybe I'll pop up over there from time to time.
Way to go, Slingshot.
Alright, end of video. Great video once again from Xavier, man. I actually didn't. I knew about all of these ones, but these last couple ones, like Disc Wars and this one, I did not know about. So it was interesting learning about them. Alright, let's see if they're on any of the piracy sites I use. Hold on.
A few moments later.
Alright, I checked the 2 piracy sites I use, and Anime Haven only has the first episode dubbed, but it was from 3 years ago, so it's obviously not that one. And 9 Anime has the entire series, but it's with the Disney Plus watermark, so yeah, I don't know if Xavier did actually upload them to the piracy sites yet, if he has or not, or I just don't know which sites he used. But yeah, if any of you guys know what site you end up uploading them to, leave it down in the comments, because the 2 sites I used, I couldn't find them. But yeah, anyway, guys, this video's gone on long enough. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you like. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
She's too